Okay, so we're ready to start our last and final talk. You may remember me from earlier on in the day. My name is Jeff Weekly. I am a research associate here at the Naval Postgraduate School with the MOVES Institute. And MOVES is Modeling Virtual Environments and Simulations. And my co-presenter is Lauren Hare from Pacific Interface, president of CineGrid. And that may mean something to you. If it doesn't, it will soon. So what we're here today to do is stretch the limits of PowerPoint choreography and talk about Project 8K. Now, I'm in the crazy idea department. And in our department, and Lauren helped out with this last year, we thought, well, what's the boldest thing we could possibly do with 4K video? And my first impulse was put a 4K camera on a robot underwater. And the good folks who own robots and put them underwater said, well, we not only need a bigger robot, we need a bigger ship and a bigger antenna. So we tabled that idea. And the next thing we came up with was put a camera in a tank. And since there's only a couple of these cameras in the world, that we finally landed on, let's put a camera pointed at a tank. So that was how we came up with Project 8K. And what we really wanted to do was answer the science question, do super large videos at very high frame rates have science value? Do they have more science value than the images that scientists are currently looking at? So that's the nugget of what we were the question we were trying to answer. Here's our agenda today. We'll talk about background, what is 4K for the uninitiated, cameras, codecs, and accessories, lab tests, field tests, and live streaming. That's what we did in the 5 or 6 days that we had these cameras, and the codec from NTT Labs. We will, if you haven't heard, have a live streaming event today. And then we'll have questions and talk about results and conclusions. So here are our project partners. Naval Postgraduate School, Cal IT2 at UC San Diego, the Network Innovations Lab at NTT in Yokosuka, Japan. The Monterey Bay Aquarium was instrumental in this. They own the tanks that we pointed our cameras at. The city of Monterey, we actually leveraged the city of Monterey's network infrastructure for this project. And of course, Pacific Interface, Lauren and Natalie's company. So it takes a team, indeed. So I already touched on this. The idea was to bring these JVC prototype cameras and NTT codec to NPS to stream and record scientific imagery and conduct field camera tests. So 4K underwater, probably not yet. These are some test images that I took at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. If you haven't been there, please try and visit. Lauren, can we get the house lights down? These levers here, all of them? There you go. All right, nobody fall asleep. Even though these are very soothing images. These are some of the bigger tanks, some of the smaller tanks. And what, great white shark, that's pretty cool, right? I'm glad he was on the other side. So that was what we wanted to accomplish. We wanted to capture this beautiful imagery for science, but also because it's just really cool. So I have to talk a little bit about what is 4K. And Lauren asked me to add this first part. Strictly speaking, 4K is the high-end Hollywood standard for digital cinema distribution. It's 4,096 pixels wide by 2,160 pixels high. at 24 frames per second in 4:4 color space, ... It is it's a standard by which digital cinema may be distributed. You can think of it as approximately 4 times HD. And if you have an HD television at home, it's 4 times as many pixels as that, roughly. So in this case, we're talking about 8 megapixels per frame. And our image sizes are 3,840 by 2,160 at 60 frames per second. And the color space? 422. So there's a little subsampling on the color. So this is my little graphic that I made to help me understand. And believe me, all the pixels add up. Okay, so this is what you might be looking at home. And I have a prop. Jeff, can you hold up the 720 monitor down there? Just hold it into the light. You get an idea. This is your TV at home. So it's nice, right? At least it's flat. It's flat, that's right. This is the image we're interested in. This is our 4K in relative size. So you can see there's a lot more there than you can see in HD. This is actually a picture of the crevice dwellers exhibit at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. This is where we pointed our cameras. And here's how we set everything up. Natalie and Lauren came down fall of last year, and I thought I had a mental picture in my mind of what we were going to do, and I was trying to explain it to some coworkers, and so I drew this picture. And surprisingly, it was durable. It held up. So these are the cameras. Now, as I understand it, this was Mark 1 and Mark 2, and there was rumor that there was a Mark 3. So we basically had 2 of 3 of these cameras that existed in the world here at the Naval Postgraduate School at the end of November to the first week of December for about 1 week. And I'll have some other pictures here that will give you an idea of the relative size. Each camera takes a camera control unit. That's the black box that you see on the top. It's connected to the camera by the lavender cable. That's an optical cable. And the large silver box that you see below is the NTT codec box. You can think of this as DVR on steroids. It's super TiVo. It can record a video stream. It can play a video stream back, either locally or over the network, or it can send a video stream out over the network. So for today, we're using 2, 1 in Japan and 1 here. In December, we had 3 here, and 2 in Japan and 2 in San Diego. So we probably had a large percentage of the NTT codecs in the world. It took a lot of other extra support material. This is Jeff mounting a very large sled that we typically use for a teleprompter. And here's the camera in its field configuration with a 400 millimeter lens. Jeff, can you mute the sound, please? Thank you. So first we wanted to set everything up in the lab. And this is a picture taken of 2 cameras streaming to 1 monitor. And if you notice in the middle, you can see there's a line there. That's because the cameras, even though they have the same lenses, and we're sending pictures at the same rate, they have a little bit different geometry. So it took some actual physical alignment with the cameras themselves to get the image to line up. So that's how we did it. We were sending one camera's image to the right side of the screen and one camera's image to the left side of the screen, each with its own codec, each with its own projector. So for our field recordings, we simplified things, and we use a single camera, 1 codec recorder, no sound, a variety of lenses, and we shot with natural light. So here we are with our quote-unquote production truck. And It's not as luxurious as it looks. It is actually for going into the field and running experiments. So there was a chair, and the rest was gutted, and it was all generators and wires. So that is I on the right there, and then that is Dr. Fuji, who is actually one of the prime inventors of this technology. And Jeff, you must be behind the still camera taking pictures. So here's what the back of the production truck looks like. You can see again the codec box and then the camera control unit on top of it. This is science. Here we are looking at the. I guess I could go back there. We're actually looking at the monitor. Now the monitor was a 22-inch 4K monitor. It was very hard to get focus on. So we did a lot of takes, and some were good and some were better. This is Lauren setting up the camera for our first day of shooting. I guess we still use shooting and film and all those old terms. Here we are at Moss Landing recording some sea otters. So now, camera bigger than my head. And then our final location was filming a sunset out at Asilomar Beach. So this is the codec. The front side of it looks a lot like a server. The items numbered 1 and 8 are actually high availability hard drives, and it's recording to hard drive. We don't use tapes, and their hard drive is very similar to what you might have in your laptop computer. The back, these bays 1 through 9 are for output cards, and in this case we have 4 HD signals, HD SDI, so we're using bays 1 through 4, and the rest are sort of ports that you hook a monitor up to and a keyboard. So our goal is well known. Streaming dual synchronized 4K images from the Monterey Bay Aquarium. This is our planning timeline. So in true Navy fashion, down to, I think, 5-minute increments was about as tight as we went there. Nothing was left to chance. We even scheduled lunch and return from lunch. Got to keep them fed and watered. So this is Jeff setting up the 2 cameras on the sled outside of the Crevice Dwellers exhibit. We had 1 small panel of fluorescent lights to light the exhibit. This is Doug Weissman, our network engineer, who made literally made it, made the network happen. And we're doing the fine alignment there. This is Jim Covell. Jim Covell is head of interpretive programs at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and he provided the narration for us. He told us about what we were looking at in these dual 4K images. This is me at the creators panel. I was quite pleased, as you can see. So before we go live from Japan, I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, and he's going to address some of the bigger issues as well as some of the technical issues.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And Jeff and I have become close colleagues and friends through this practice of doing something that nobody's done before. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about CineGrid. For those of you who don't know, we formed CineGrid in 2004 as a nonprofit. The mission is to build an interdisciplinary community, particularly how to use high-end media over high-speed networks. And we've been involved with CENIC from the very inception of CineGrid, or put it another way around, we couldn't have built CineGrid without CENIC. The members are media art schools, research labs, research universities, post-production facilities, hardware, software manufacturers, all connected by 1 gig and 10 gig Ethernet for the purpose of research and education. We do work with for-profit companies, and we encourage them to work with us to prototype their pre-commercial experiments, and then once it's become bulletproof and reliable, they need to move on to a commercial network. we're motivated by a convergence. The entertainment, media, art and culture world has always had the best visualization technology that could be afforded at that time in history. But so have the science, medicine, education, and research communities have always had the best visualization they could buy at that point in history, whether we're talking about Leonardo da Vinci and Galileo, or we're talking about the Naval Postgraduate School here. The military, intelligence, security, and police have also always driven the state-of-the-art of visualization technology. But in the analog era, right, these were stovepiped. They used different technologies, different films, different cameras, different infrastructure to accomplish their missions. But they're all adopting digital media, and therefore their requirements are converging. And we believe from the inception that the different communities weren't talking to each other, and due to this convergence, they could talk to each other with great benefit to cross-pollinate. Well, we run over the global Lambda integrated facility as a backbone. In California, that means primarily we connect via CENIC, and through CENIC to Pacific Wave, and through Pacific Wave to the rest of the glyph. We have, well, where's my title? Let's see if I press it again. Not too fast. Well, somehow we've lost the title here as we move from PowerPoint to Keynote. But essentially, these are early projects we did. In iGrid 2005, we did a live 4K telepresence between the president of Keio University at the top and the chancellor of UCSD, Marianne Fox. At the Audio Engineering Society in 2006, held in San Francisco, we did pre-recorded 4K musical performance, picture coming from Tokyo, sound coming from San Diego, and then synchronizing those and mixing them on the fly in the Lucasfilm Letterman Arts Center theater at the San Francisco Presidio. In 2007, we went to Amsterdam to the Holland Festival, where we worked with our colleagues at the University of Amsterdam and at SurfNet and at the Bach Society to record the Era la Notte performance. Is a one-woman show, an operetta, in front of a live audience of 700 people in a beautiful, beautiful concert hall. And we were allowed to come into that concert hall and mic it and put a camera in the back. We couldn't touch the lighting, no acoustical amplification, no noise. It's a live performance for paying customers, and we got to do it. Well, we also streamed it live from the concert hall in Holland to the auditorium at Cal IT2 in San Diego. That worked really well. And then in 2007, we went to the Glyph meeting in Prague. We convinced DALSA, which makes a 4K camera, to bring their camera to Prague, and we shot footage in Prague, did what's called debayering, which is a pre-processing, very compute-intensive pre-processing. We did that on the cluster in San Diego and sent the results back to Prague over the network. Testnet, the Czech Republic, maintains a 10 gig link via Starlight to use to get to San Diego to the cluster. And then we did interactive color grading, where the colorist was in Toronto at Ryerson University and the cinematographer was in Prague. Thank you. Well, this led to, we started saving stuff, and the terabytes just started piling up. We're running 50 megabytes a frame at 24 frames a second, at 30 frames a second, at 60 frames a second. And we had, in Era la Notte, we shot 2 nights for 75 minutes a night. All right, so the terabytes were starting to pile up. CineGrid stores and distributes its own collection of digital media assets for its members. It's one of the things we provide for our members. The engineering school wants to work in this, but doesn't have any media. Media laboratory wants to work in it, but can't clear the rights for any media that somebody owns. So CineGrid Exchange was created in order to solve that problem. Now, there was also a report published in 2007 by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences called The Digital Dilemma, which talked about the strategic issues of preserving cinema assets. Many of you know the difficulties of preserving digital anything for a long time being more than one technology generation. And the cinema industry, however, has a really good way of preserving stuff now. It's called film, in a hole, it lasts for 50 to 100 years if the temperature and humidity are kept correct. But we're coming to an age where cinema is not made with film anymore, or increasingly, and how do you preserve that? That's a real issue, and that issue ripples through many, many applications. In part of this, we noticed the work done. This is a Library of Congress report. This is National Archives Research, Records Administration. At Stanford, they worked on something called locks. Lots of copies keep stuff safe. And at UCSD, they worked on the Storage Resource Broker, and then IROD's Integrated Rules-Oriented Data Services. And there will be a presentation tomorrow afternoon about CineGrid Exchange in more detail as part of the demonstrations at the end of the day. But we came up with the idea that what CineGrid should do to solve its own problems and to follow the implications of the report was to create a global-scale testbed for distributed storage plus fast networks plus high-quality digital media so that we could explore these issues. Well, this was the exchange in 2008. We had 3 nodes, Amsterdam, San Diego, and Tokyo. We had about 76 terabytes. Next slide, please. Yeah. Stopped. Okay. That's it. This is in 2009, 2010. We're up now to about 243 terabytes. I'm sorry, it's clipped the far edge of the slide. We now have 7 nodes. NPS is going to come online as soon as we can figure out the firewall stuff. We have set out to build a multi-layer open source framework for distributed digital media repository. We're implementing IROD's middleware with some funding that we got from AMPAS. And we have a working group with a number of people, including NPS. And Jeff has been doing a lot of heavy lifting. And next slide, please. Well, CineGrid's not just about cinema, although that's where we take our name. While the cinema has been going to digital and has been going from HD to 4K to 2K to 4K, in the scientific visualization community, things have been without bounds. We don't know what the outer limits are. This is a 42 megapixel stereoscopic immersion display with 3D head tracking down at Cal IT2 in San Diego using micropolarized 1080p LCDs. Go ahead. This is a 42 megapixel tile display at the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia, just installed last September, using narrow bezel 720p LCDs that you can buy from, in this case, from NEC. All commercial off the shelf. Next slide. This is an image of Sage, the scalable adaptive graphics environment, with showing scalable viz casting and distributed GUI for multi-user distributed collaboration at the Electronic Visualization Lab in University of Illinois, Chicago. Next slide, please. This is a demonstration we did at CineGrid 2008. 4K and 2K multi-point interactive telepresence. So some of the sites where we had 4K cameras and some 2K cameras. 2K is almost like HD. And 3 places could be synced up and collaborate with each other. But not everybody had 4K players or displays, so some of it was being seen in 2K and some in 4K using subband encoding that's inherent in JPEG 2000. So we tied together Keio University of Tokyo, the Electronic Visualization Lab in Chicago, and Cal IT2 in San Diego. This picture was taken in the auditorium at Cal IT2. These people are standing in Cal IT2. These people are sitting at Keio University. Those people are in Chicago. And those people are in another room in San Diego. Next slide. In December 2009, we did telecollaboration for audio post-production, real-time picture and sound editing synchronized over IP. Synchronization in this case means within the tolerances of one audio sample, that is 1/48,000th of a second. And this was between Skywalker Sound in Marin County and the Sonic Arts Group at Cal IT2. Next slide, please. We did a telecollaboration for cinema color grading. This required real-time 4K uncompressed. 4K uncompressed is nominally 6 gigabit per second, streaming from a facility in Prague to the Cal IT2 auditorium on the fly. And then basically I was standing here and asking people, these people are on a video teleconferencing system in Prague. This is the screen in San Diego. We're seeing the full up color, full resolution. There is no more. That's the best. And we're seeing that, and we're using it to tell the people in Prague, make it a little more yellow, make it a little more blue. It's a very, very expensive, intensive, and difficult process in the cinema post-production, and that's why we concentrated on it. Next slide. And then this is Jeff in front of the 2 wide 4K. So this is really 8K wide by 2K high. At 60 frames per second, we've increased the temporal frame rate. Dual 4K cameras, dual 4K JPEG 2000 codecs from NTT.
I look like I'm 8K wide too.
Yeah. Fix it in Photoshop. You know, and then we synchronized them. The synchronization was the real breakthrough on this particular demonstration. So 2 streams synchronized. You might want to do that as 2 and overlay them in mixed stereo, or in this case, you want to make them wide. You can do this N wide. So you can do 3 wide, 4 wide. You can make them 2 by 2 or 3 by 2, any sort of tiling that you wish to and that you can afford. This was from the Monterey Bay Aquarium through NPS to Cal IT2, actually went on to Japan. So I can't myself explain how the synchronization works. So I'd like to, if this all works, call on my colleague Atsushi Takahara at NTT Laboratories in Yokosuka, and we're going to switch projectors now and see if he's there live.
Okay, so it's going to take just a minute, and let me bring up our back channel chat on this other computer.
So do we want to douse the projectors?
Yeah, we can go ahead and switch the projectors.
So I'd like to see the 4K projector, please, and douse the PowerPoint projector.
So turn it off. Thank you.
Oh, a little sync problem. Hold on just a moment. Jeff, can I have the sound up? Okay, tell him that we're seeing, we don't have a clean signal. It's cleaning up now. Okay. Here we go. Settling down. Okay, tell him. Okay, so
can you hear me? So that's we have a back channel using a chat program. So I hear my chat ringer there. So, like I said before, this is 2 codecs. They have a JVC 4K camera there on their end, and anybody speak Japanese?
動画その他っていうところがあるじゃない。そこを選ぶとどうなってる？
So they're trying to debug the flickering problem that they're seeing as well.
And this is live. So the data rates here are lower than they are coming off the camera, but they're still between 400 and 500 megabits per second. For the experiment, we actually used 2 channels of about 400 megabits per second because our consistent throughput on the network was about 800 megabits per second. So Natalie is calling him on the phone.
May I? Okay.
Very very low.
Good evening
Under 100 milliseconds.
to the auditorium. So I'm at Takahara NTT Network Innovation Laboratory. So I'd like to briefly introduce the CineGrid 2009 trial report, especially for the network configuration. First of all, this is the entire diagram of a demonstration system. So last December, we set the two 4K camera at the just in front of the tank of Monterey Aquarium. So we generated two completely different streams from the Monterey to the two monitors. That is, the one is located in Cal IT2 of the UCSD in San Diego, California, and the other one is the NTT our side of Yokosuka in Japan. So we use the very specific technologies for the application layer multicast. That is called the FlexCast here. So first we going out the two streams down to the UCSD FlexCast splitter. Then we generated the two multicast streams from here to one of to the Japan, and the other one is the locally in California. So the problem is how we synchronize these two streams. So that is the specific technologies for the synchronization of the two codecs. So this is the figure out the actual networking. So from the Monterey Aquarium, we are using the local fiber supported by the Monterey City and down to NPS. Then we send out the traffic through the CENIC to UCSD, and then we use the Japan Gigabit network, that is the another testbed operated by the NICT in Japan. So then down to our laboratories. So today, actually that we are using the same path from the NTT Yokosuka to your NPS auditorium. So we are now streaming this 4K view from the Japan to the San Diego in live actually. So last time, actually we observed that the several packet loss and in between the US and Japan. That means that over the Pacific Ocean, we observed the once frame packet loss, and between the NPS and the CSD and the once every 10 frames. So, but this packet loss was occurred in switches and routers for some microbus traffic. So this is the figure for describing our synchronization mechanisms. So notice that we applied the synchronization in both ends, but these guys are not communicated. They are independently synchronized the traffic in end side only. So first of all, the center side, we set two encoders in this estimate. One is master and the other one slave. These guys are some exchanging of the center side synchronization. Then we will stamp that some time sequence number in the header of each streaming packet. So after receiving these packets in decoder side, we are also communicated in among the decoders. We will synchronize these streams according to these timestamps. Of course, sometimes the master is faster. We should buffering until the slave side receiving the actual the packet. Receiving, in this case, the number 1. So then the both receive the packet number 1. Then this decoder is actually this encoder is actually send out the actual packet. So, but sometimes the slaver is faster. The slaver side is buffering such packet and to synchronize with the other codecs, and then apply some proper manner of buffering. So again, that this synchronization is independent in the sender side and the receiver side, so that we can very flexible for adjusting the two streams, and also we have the good scalability for this synchronization mechanism. So this is my last slide, that is showing that our steps of the 4K technologies. We are starting from the 4K for the digital cinema that is used for the unidirectional communications. Then we implemented some real-time encoder-decoder that is used for the very spectacular real-time but unique directional communications. So we've been testing this 4K real-time distribution over the experimental network in November 2007 from the Japan to Stockholm. So the last 2 years ago, we actually demonstrated some sort of the multi-point real-time communication with the 4K technologies. So this is showing that the possibility of using these technologies for more rich communications in place of the telepresence technologies at this moment. So last December, we actually demonstrated this synchronization technologies. This show that easily beyond the 4K, and we can provide a more rich collaboration space with technology. So we will continue as we work on this high resolution and more good collaboration space using these technologies. So that's all from the Japan. Thank you very much for your attention. Gordon, please.
Okay, so Dr. Takahara can't hear us, but he's going to, you're going to type on your little chat to get ready for the next section. So we're going to do some playback from Japan next. So we're going to shutter the projector. So good showmanship to never show what happens behind the screen. And while we're shuttered, if we can bring up house lights, we're going to take Q&A. They have to reset their system to go from live to pre-recorded. So Jeff and I can take some questions now while we get reset, and then we're going to show you some more images. First question, yes?
Lawrence, the video conference we just saw with Japan, it was such a high quality. Is there a way we could package that and make it portable? Say I wanted to do a road show to...
Without an RV?
Yeah, on a plane.
Yeah,
in
go
a
ahead.
Halliburton.
Yeah. What is it you want to do?
Like take this to 10 universities across the U.S., of course some of them here in California, and talk about collaborative learning and research and how we could use this technology.
Yeah, so we've been doing that slowly but surely, rolling it out. We've done it a couple of times at Cal IT2. We've done it in Amsterdam. We've done it in Prague. Now we've done it at NPS. We're probably going to do it next at Ryerson in Toronto. But absolutely. So the camera itself is, it's got a lot of cables, but the camera itself is actually quite small, right? It takes the control unit, it takes the codec. The codec is a 5RU HP server. The real money is actually in the displays and in the cameras, in the transducers, if you will, that go from light to picture and from picture to light. So those are still not so big, but they're not so cheap either. So with appropriate budget, it can be done. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Another question?
What's the processing in the codec?
The processing is JPEG 2000.
I mean, physical processing.
The physical processing are analog devices, chips, many chips per image. Each chip can handle HD. But there are 4 boards. Each board handles a quadrant, and then they're internally synchronized and buffered. The codec also has a very extensive forward error correction to sustain drop packets, noise, and normal stuff of networking. The little flickering that we saw down in the lower right quadrant, you notice that it decreased as we went through the performance, and that's really just the system just stabilizing. The hardest part about doing these things is we got into the hall. Doug Weissman and his networking team here was in the hall last Monday to build the VLAN and then debug it all the way to Japan. But the equipment move-in didn't happen until last night. And and we have time differences. They're waking up in the morning in Tokyo, and we're here at the end of the day. So another day, we definitely have it nailed. But it's the conference was today, and so here we are. I think you all got the idea. You could see Atsushi Takahara with enormous clarity. You were reading his PowerPoints, from a camera.
So Lauren, Dr. Takahara says that he's ready.
Okay. Oh, one more question.
Point of information. The IEEE named the handing medal after Dick Canning because of his work in inventing word error correcting codes.
That's very true. Very true. So FEC has got a lot of good things that can be used for it. And sending it by stream. So, yes? Okay. All right, so this is the picture. This is what we showed at CineGrid with the camera pointed into the crevice dweller's tank at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. So the motion is very subtle, but if you were in 30p, you wouldn't see but half of it. Right? So there's spatial resolution, temporal resolution, and dynamic range resolution in any image. And we're running here at that's right, fish. No, I didn't see that when it happened live the first time. So one of the things that Jeff and I have noticed is that this technology is really, really good for making small things appear very large. Right? So the actual tank is this wide by this high, but we're in tight. One of the things about these cameras that are made by JVC is that they take Nikon f-mount lenses, so we had a wide selection of lensing. And this was projected at Cal AT2, two of these wide. So it was 8K wide by 2K high. We're seeing 4K wide because we don't have two projectors.
Quick question.
Yep.
I think Jeff told me this, that we weren't able to record this here, so it was recorded in Japan, and now you're streaming this.
This is streaming from Japan.
Because they were the only ones that recorded it.
Right, so the codecs normally can run record and stream at the same time, but not at 4K 60p. And
Jeff, can you play Soundscape from Monterey Bay?
So this is shot off Point Pinos, actually off of a sonar. Near Point Pinos. One of the reasons we like this in particular, right, and is you can see the dampening that the kelp exerts on the waves. Right? We'll just let you look at this real quick. Driving our work in CineGrid is really that scientists should have at least the same quality imagery as Hollywood. Why not? Right? Different applications, different purposes. We're not making a movie here. We're doing actually camera tests in this case, but one could very easily see how you could use this for remote sensing, for nature observation, for wall-to-wall cute. Wall-to-wall cute is extra hard, but as Jeff points out, sea otters are a very limited number. We can imagine using this for education or public awareness.
Aren't they cute? And what you should notice is that you can see every little hair in their fur and every little twitch. One of them is going to come along here and open something. You know, look at the detail here in the bird or in the hair. Oh, this one's tagged.
That means he's lived at the aquarium for a while.
Now, please understand, Jeff's out there with Dr. Fuji and Bill Jeff Melnick, and they have, pardon me, Jeff.
Just don't say old Jeff and young Jeff.
The Jeff with the red hair. The camera has got a depth of field, like every other camera, and the otters are floating in and out of focus. So
And
frame. So we took, Jeff took 6 or 7 takes, and this is the one that worked best. The camera
250 meters.
250 meters separation from the otters to the camera, using that long Nikon lens that you saw in the picture earlier.
What was its data rate?
The data rate's about 400 megabit per second, JPEG 2000. The underlying data rate is 12 gigabit per second. All right, so you stepped on it about 30 to 1. The NTT codec is a variable bit rate. That is, it can have a variable setting, right? And it can go up to a gigabit per second or down to about 120. For 4K, that's about as low as you want to go.
And this water and these otters are about as demanding of an image from a compression as you can get.
Very hard. Yes,
Very
basically,
difficult.
Stuff doesn't compress well. It's changing every frame.
The latency, how much? The latency?
Say again?
Latency?
The latency of the codec is 6 frames in the codec. There's a frame in the camera. There's a frame in the projector. In our case, we have round-trip time to Yokosuka Labs in Japan, outside of Tokyo.
How much can you bring up codec sound? And I will tell Dr. Takahara that we're ready for our next video.
Okay, so we need to reset the projector.
I think it's reset.
No, you had to reset from 60p to 30p for the next clip.
No, just leave it open. He said that he already reset it and it was stable.
Oh. We'll see. Okay. Okay, and sound up. This is from 2007. Please enjoy.
So we're going to restart.